It lasted about 3 minutes. I forgot my phone. Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special council meeting for Monday, June 24th. Roll call shows that all councilors except for Councilor Osher are present. She had a family emergency. The next item is agenda review, and I believe we have a new order to be put on. So I would ask for a motion to add order 19-120 to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Right. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to new business. Order 1997, order approving the fiscal year 2019-2020 municipal budget. Operating expenses, $7,858,821. Capital debt service, P&I, $1,190,529. Economic development expenses, $886,309. Capital expenses, $1,197,000, for a total municipal expenses of $11,132,659. General revenues, $2,738,886. Revenue sharing, $1,513,835. Use of unassigned fund balance, $350,000. Use of assigned fund balance, $488,188. Use of restricted funds, $886,309. Revenue to offset capital expenses, $225,000, for total municipal revenue of $6,202,218. Total amount to be raised by taxes for the municipal budget, $4,930,441. I will take a motion, please.
Move approval.
All right. Sophie, do you have anything to add to this?
Just to summarize that the budget that you're contemplating adopting tonight is the exact same expense budget as was presented during the public hearing on June 10th. The revenue budget has increased to reflect $239,315 in additional revenue sharing, $143,060 in additional projected, I'm not going to get into homestead because it's not in this order, and a decrease of $50,000 in the draw from an unassigned fund balance. So it is, in essence, everything that we said we were going to spend money on, everything that was projected, plus the additional revenue sharing money.
Councilors have any questions or comments on the budget? I think everyone worked very hard, and
I'm happy that we can lower the mill rate for the first time in my term.
Isn't that nice?
first time in my turn, too. All right. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll take a vote on Order 1997. All those in favor? Budget passes unanimously. Order 1998, order approving a sewer use rate increase to fund the water pollution control facility of 40 cents per 100 cubic feet per quarter, with a minimum metered charge per quarter of $64.20 and an unmetered per quarter charge of $95.06, effective for all charges assessed by the town after January 1st, 2020. Take a motion, please.
Move approval.
Sophie?
So we've talked about this several times during workshop, and it was also presented at the public hearing. This raises the rate to $5.35 per 100 cubic feet of metered service. It funds the FY20 operating budget and allows us to put funds into reserve so that we're saving for the future. I don't know how in-depth you want me to go, so I'll stop there, but if people have questions.
Great. Councilors have any questions or comments about this? I know we wrangled with this increase for a while, so. I will take a vote on Order 1998. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Order 1999, order approving the water pollution control facility budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 in the amount of $1,628,103 for operations and $238,746 for capital improvements, for a total of $1,866,849. Take a motion, please.
Move approval.
Second.
Do you have anything?
This is the budget as presented at the public hearing with no changes.
Questions, comments by council? All right, hearing none, I'll take a vote on Order 1999. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Order 19100, order approving the 5-year capital investment forecast 2020 to 2024 for the town and water pollution control facility. I'll take a motion, please.
So, second.
So it's the capital that was presented.
It is the capital budget, capital plan that was presented both in budget workshops and then at the public hearing on June 10th.
I will take a vote on Order 19100. Order 19101, order approving fiscal year 2019-2020 fee schedule effective July 1st, 2019. Motion, please.
So moved.
So this is not the fee schedule that was presented during the public hearing or discussed at budget workshop. We did make a change to the fee schedule based on a comment that we received at the public hearing to make it very clear that the mailbox funds were reimbursement funds as opposed to fee. So it's been pulled out of the public works fee schedule. It's still on this document so that you will review it every year, but it is clearly labeled a reimbursement now. The other thing that we changed is we clearly indicated on the fee schedule that the $25 sticker for the landfill is actually good for the first year for 18 months as opposed to 12 months. So we'll start selling them July 1st, and they will be good until December 31st, 2020. So we had talked about prorating. Rob Yerxa had already taken care of that for us. And he also wanted to make sure you were aware that he factored in the 6 month of free time into the his revenue projections moving forward.
Why aren't we surprised?
Yeah, right.
Questions or comments?
No.
All right, I will take a vote on Order 19101. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Order 19102, order accepting the FY18 Town of Orono financial audit. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Sophie.
So, Finance and Operations Committee has been through this presentation once, asked a lot of good questions, and I took that presentation and actually simplified it, I believe, a little bit to make it a little better for tonight. If I am not answering questions that you have, please stop me and we can talk about whatever it is you'd like. And if I don't have an answer today, I can always get you one. So just a little bit of background that municipalities are required by state statute to have an independent financial audit of their books every year, and it has to be done by a certified public accountant. The town, so most of the time, consultants work for me, and under my direction, and then I report it back up. This is a time that the auditor actually works for the council, and my work with the auditor is representing management, which is a different function. So if you have any questions after the presentation tonight that you would like to hear from the auditor, you can talk to me, you can talk to Cindy or Tom. They all have interaction with Runyon, Kirstine, and Olette. So I fill the role as management and finance staff. We work with the auditor to facilitate the process. It is management's job to create portions of the audit document, but again, the auditor works for the town council. So the audit itself, you got the books. There is an independent auditor's report that the auditor does. Management discussion and analysis is actually from management, so those are my words. Then you'll see basic financial statements and related notes. There's always required supplementary information, and in our book, it's a lot of information about benefits that are given after retirement, which although we don't directly fund them, there are some implication because the groups that we participate in are funding those, and Main State Retirement, which is a direct responsibility of the town. And then in the back, you'll see combined and individual fund financial statements, which are kind of interesting to go through. So the book in front of you covers July 1, 2017 to June 30, 2018. We are management's responsible for preparing and presenting the financial statements, and then the auditor is responsible to review them and render an opinion. This particular year, if you read the auditor's note, what you would see is that they got the material that they needed, and they are providing a non-modified opinion on the audit, which are both good things to know. So the town's net position actually increased by $342,000 to $11.6 million last year. When we talk about business type, that is WPCF. It is its own distinct proprietary fund. It gets reported separately in the audit. That decreased by $247,000 to $5.2 million, and we're going to talk about that as we move forward. So when we look at the governmental fund, which would be town, what you'll notice is that we collected about almost 1.6% more revenue than we had projected at the beginning of the year. And we were under budget by about $1.4 million, or 8.21%. I would just caution that the planned appropriations into reserves to transfer to a reserve is not an expense. So your savings is going to show up as an under expenditure. Okay. So we had other financing sources. There were two. One is an annual transfer of funds from WPCF to the town of about $138,000, and that pays for all the administrative overhead for WPCF, managing all their billing, their books, their people. And we do that so that taxpayers aren't subsidizing sewer. The other portion of that was a loan that we received for EMS monitors. We borrowed almost $60,000, not quite for that. People really like to know about fund balance. That's what's kind of in the bank at the end of the year. And we'll go through more specifically, but we ended the year at $7.6 million, which is a decrease of about 7%, or $578,000 $100,000 from the previous year. These are all our funds combined, assigned, restricted. We'll go through. So our fund balance includes $12,509 of inventory that is not cash but is an asset. $1,073,000 of restricted, that's tax increment finance district funds. We had another $1.8 million of assigned. Those are your reserve accounts. Things that, one way to look at the difference between restricted and assigned is council controls assignment. You can assign whatever you want or unassign whatever you want. Restricted funds have strings on them from outside agencies that are beyond council's control. And unassigned is $4.7 million. So one of the first things that I just want to make sure people understand is that we had a new auditor, new field auditor this year. And in the past, it had been automatic for the auditor to just pick up the assignment of the funds that we received through the sale of 3 Godfrey Drive and hold them on the side for the debt repayment of that bond. And this auditor didn't do that, so it looks like we gained a lot in unassigned fund balance, but one of the things you're going to do later today is consider assigning that $1.9 million back to the assigned column as opposed to the unassigned column. If you look at unassigned and you account for the need to assign the long-term debt payment, we actually increased undesignated fund balance by about $660,000 last year.
What's an example of non-spendable, like just
That
seems
right
really
there is
low.
diesel and gas that we have
Oh,
in the
okay.
depot.
Okay.
So because we buy it in bulk, we have to we realize the expense. It sits there. The auditor captures that as non-spendable. The other thing that you sometimes see in that category, we didn't happen to have any this year, would be a prepayment. So if we paid for insurance that starts July 1st and we pay it in June, that's a prepayment which would get picked up there as well. So the net position for WPCF, we have $2.8 million in capital assets. We have another $2.3 million in unrestricted, in essentially their unrestricted fund, for a total of almost $5.3 million in the WPCF fund. The auditor shows the activity differently than we budget it, and I'm going to see if I can explain it and make sense. Operating revenue is just what we budget. It's billings and grants and user fees that come up to $1.4 million. Operating expense is actually all the operating expense less interest. So we count interest payments in our operating expenses. It is not an operating expense by GASB, but $500,000 of depreciation that we don't show in our annual operating budget is considered an operating expense under GASB, which is how we get to that hole that we see. And so that's where your $233,000 is coming from as a non-operating. They're calling it revenue, but it's really an expense because it's a money out. And then the transfer out the door of the $138,825 to the town. Making sense so far? So the other piece that we have is property tax collection, because that is our prime source of revenue. We assessed $12.7, almost $12.8 million of taxes in FY18. At year end, we had $255,000 $6,750 uncollected for a collection rate on FY18 of about 97.99%, which is very good for a municipality. We have people who pay their taxes by and large. And that's it.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I would just comment that I had an opportunity to meet with the auditors when they were here doing their pre-audit for the year that's just ending. And they were very complimentary of the work that's being done by our finance staff and how knowledgeable they have become in municipal finance. And it was just a very pleasant conversation, and they think we're on the right track.
Great.
I am very proud of my finance staff. They've come from the private sector, which is
Right.
much
Big
different,
learning curve.
and big learning curve. They're doing great work.
Great.
Sophie, on the uncollected funds, is there? I'm just looking at the document you sent or you gave to us. Is it a 4-year limit or 5-year limit, and then you write it off or ask a request to have it written off?
So, yeah, I was just kind of trying to get this.
So there are two types of property taxes. Real estate in general are on a 3-year cycle. So you assess a year, it sits for it goes for almost a year before you can lien it. Once you lien it, it has to sit for 18 months. So, for example, last December, we were foreclosing on FY17 taxes. So we had at one point 17, 18, and 19 outstanding. Real estate are secured liens, meaning you can't move the property, so you put your lien on, people pay it, or the town takes ownership of the property. Personal property is an entirely different legal process. We assess, we get payment, which is great, but sometimes there are those people out there that aren't willing to pay. If we have assessed it appropriately and have very good and detailed records, we can go file what's known as a UCC filing up to a year after the tax commitment. We have never done that here. I am hoping with the records that Mike is keeping with this next assessment, we should be able to begin doing that. But what it means is when an entity leaves, if their property is not here for us to then run out and get the serial number and a good description of it, there's nothing. I can't even go to a small claims court for it. So what we'll talk about later, Terry, for Order 120, is that we did as much cleanup as we could on that, and these are the ones that I can't do anything with.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll take a vote on Order 19102. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Okay, everyone can bear with me. I'm going to read Order 19103. Order revising the allocation of fund balance as follows. 1. Eliminate the communications replacement, cable capital support, and office computer system reserves and move any remaining balance to the IT audiovisual reserve. 2. Eliminate EMSRA reserve and move any remaining balance along with an additional $50,000 into employee benefit reserve. 3. Reduce the assignment of Public Works Garage project reserve to $50,000, move $150,000 to capital equipment reserve, and unassign the remaining balance. 4. Eliminate the voting machine reserve and unassign the balance. 5. Move any funds remaining in the assigned Masonic Library grant to the grant fund. 6, assign $44,500 of unassigned fund balance to fund approved FY18 carry forward balances for FY19 infrastructure projects omitted in error from the FY18 year-end assignments. 7, create an economic development debt reserve in the amount of $1,991,994 to fund the repayment of debt associated with the construction of 3 Godfrey Drive. And 8, create a trails reserve in the amount of $20,000 to be used with the approval of council for expenses related to trail development and maintenance. I'll take a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Sophie, you got anything?
So I tried to write the order in a way that it was kind of explanatory. So I don't, this is a situation where in A3 of the audit, Schedule A3 of the audit, you will see where we list out all of the reserves. Those allocations are for council to decide. And in this particular case, I talked at Finance and Operations Committee. We were really looking to try to consolidate as much as we could. We were looking at the reason that we had funds allocated, and if it was no longer a reason to unassign those balances. And also there were a couple that we wanted to add some money into, like capital equipment reserve, because it had gotten dangerously low. So I don't know if there's more information people want. I could talk about this for a while.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
I just add that we, at Finance and Operations Committee, looked at this in detail through each one of these, and it made good sense to us to make these consolidations, and we recommend to bring it forward to the council.
I think this is also a good moment to plug our wonderful website and agenda center, because folks can always get in-depth background information about these committee discussions because they're recorded, and it's a searchable database as well. So.
Wow. Advertisements in the middle. All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll take a vote on Order 19103. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Order 19104. Order authorizing the town manager to expend up to $2,000 from Library Construction Fund to retrofit picture book bins to allow for better use of the facility and address safety concerns. Take a motion, please.
Move approval.
Right. So we have safety concerns.
So if you've been into the Orono Public Library and you go into where the children's section is, there is a place that would be open but for these very large browser bins set up for kids to be able to look through picture books. Those right now are kind of stuck where they are. They're very heavy and they can't be moved easily. So when Lori and her staff are running programs, they don't have enough room because there's a browser bin and then space to be able to walk around it, and another browser bin and space to walk around it. So what she really wanted to be able to do was put casters on them so that they can be moved out of the way, so when there's a program, she can open up some floor space and people aren't fighting with the browser bins while they're trying to do story time or whatever the case may be. We also really wanted to put them on casters so that our staff, when they tried to move them, would not hurt themselves. And we don't want to, we want to make sure we've got a good quality product here so that they'll lock and people won't be able to move them around on their own. Kids won't be able to move them around. So we have an estimate for $1,500, $1,560 from Bob Lombardo, who's an Orono resident. He has actually had conversation with the gentleman who built the original browser bins. Those were not those were hand done for us. Jamie's not able to retrofit them for us right now. I have asked for the authority to expend up to $2,000 simply because I don't want to get into the middle of this project and have it be increased and have you guys on summer break and not be able to finish it and have the authority to expend. The plan would be to only expend those funds that are necessary for the project.
Questions, comments? Makes good sense to me.
I know those bins well. This is a great addition.
All right, I will take a vote on Order 19104. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Order 19105, order approving the FY19 departmental budget adjustments. Take a motion, please.
Move approval?
Second?
So Cindy, I went through them with you in my office and left them on my desk. Can we come back to this while you're doing acknowledgements? I can sneak out, grab it, and bring it back.
It was a very nice list. Moving on to the consent agenda, I'll take a motion to move the consent agenda.
So moved?
Second?
All right. All those in favor of the consent agenda? Passes unanimously.
Well, the U.S. women's team won today in their quest for the World Cup, which was I'm wearing the shirt to represent and support the women's team.
Spain today, was it?
They defeated Spain 2-1. They move on to play France on Friday. So, good time to knock off work early. And, support our team.
Acknowledgements aren't on here, but while we're filling time, does
Sure.
anybody have any that they want to say? Sam, you don't mean to put you on the spot.
That's all right. The only thing, I wasn't really preparing anything, but condolences to Councillor Osher and her family with the recent events we found out today. Losing a family member.
Tom, do you have anything?
I'm all set, thanks.
Megan had hers. Cheryl, do you have? Carrie?
I just want to, the town posted today that on June 28th at 2 p.m. we'll have the dedication of the Brandon M. Silk Memorial Bridge. So that will be at 2 o'clock, again on June 28th. So if our public could come out and support this great cause, that would be nice.
I wanted to mention that also. I'm sorry. I'm out of town that day. I'm leaving that day, and I'm truly sorry that I won't be here for that. But I think it's a wonderful thing that's happening.
So we've had filler. So we'll go back to order 19105, I think it was.
Yes.
So as we've discussed, both I think in workshop we touched on it, and then at finance and operations, we've had some issues with the FY19 budget. Most notably is the overage in fire department personnel costs related to 2 long-term medical leaves that we had to backfill for, and also 2 brand new people that required training that we had to get them. So I am requesting that we make $144,630 worth of adjustments in the budget. So this is no new money, just moving from one department to another. And I would just remind folks that council approves budgets on the departmental level. So I'm asking for these transfers on the departmental level. So these are the $144,630 that make up where we need money. And some of them are a matter, for example, code enforcement, $7,250. It's the allocation of personnel expense. You will see the other 2 departments that it shares allocation with are going to give some money to make this work. So it's a It's the way those wages were allocated by the software. So code enforcement, $7,250. Police has $10,000 that over budget in legal expense. And while it's allocated to the police budget, I would argue it is more a townwide expense. It had to do with subpoenas, and we had subpoenas for personnel records that we couldn't just give up. And in order to not have to follow the subpoena, we've had to deal with motions to quash, which we've been in court either 2 or 3 times at this point. It's expensive. Fire, total wages plus projected wages. We have 2 more weeks of payroll to run. We're expecting $105,190 over budget there. Streetlights, that is probably our smallest department that you authorize. And this is where Rob takes care of traffic lights. We're about $2,000 over budget there. Winter maintenance, this is another allocation in software. You'll see that the way the software pulled winter maintenance and general maintenance, we have a savings in general maintenance, but an overage in winter maintenance. This is $16,910 in winter maintenance. Then cemeteries, we actually have a real overexpense here, and that's $3,280 for our grub treatment, our beneficial nematodes, not pesticides. So to offset that $144,630, I then have to go look in the budget for places that I think we can pull. So in assessing, I see about $25,000 that we could decrease assessing for the in wages primarily. Planning, contractor services and planning services, about $15,000 there. Finance, wages and benefits, $2,135. General maintenance, which is almost entirely wages and benefits, $62,380. Solid waste, $9,250. The library, $14,000. That's all health insurance that was ultimately not, somebody chose a lesser plan. And overlay, $16,865. I will make copies of this when we're done. You can have them. So that offsets and is a net to zero because you can't decrease or increase a budget mid-year. The other piece that we have are approvals, a request for approvals for additional use of funds. Public Works Project Reserve Funds, $2,950. That is to fund the appraisal for the Public Works Garage. The Solid Waste Reserve, $17,750. We had talked about using that reserve to offset the increased cost for continuing the single stream recycling program. Out of the downtown and transit-oriented TIF, I have 3 requests. $54,115 for Mill Street the first time. $208,000 for Mill Street the second time. And $15,853 for the shuttle bus. We got the final estimate for the final shuttle bus payment of FY19, and it's $22,000 more than what we were expecting for the year. So my suggestion is that we move the $5,000 in bus reserve, which I can do at the department level because it's in the same department, but move that to the actual assessment because we no longer need the bus reserve. Remember, we had that conversation during the budget. And that will cover that. The other piece that I'm requesting is $10,000 out of the EnvisionNet TIF program development account to cover an overage in legal in that budget. We could probably absorb it, but by absorbing it this way, I can reallocate some wage expenses for the economic development department and lessen the draw on the downtown and transit oriented TIF so that we end the year with about that balance that we thought we would have remaining in the account. And then the last is a request to pull an additional $14,745 out of sewer replacement reserve to increase the budget for Mill Street 1, which hopefully is Mill Street only for sewer.
Questions or comments?
I do have a question. Is this more adjustments than we have normally seen? Or is this a typical number? I just don't remember.
Oftentimes, Tom, I bring them to you in pieces. We'll do this little piece and then this little piece. I would say it's more, but in the past, we've been more likely to show an over expense and let it show up in the audit. With the way GASB is treating stewardship, I think that's a mistake, and I think we need to cover it. So I'm being a little bit probably more proactive than I've been in the past so that we'll be able to end the year, hopefully, in all of the departments in the black.
Anyone else? Makes more sense when you see it on paper. I said it will make a little bit more sense when you see it on paper. That's okay. So I will take a vote on Order 19105. All those in favor? Right, passes unanimously. Moving on to Order 19120, order deeming the presented delinquent assessed personal property tax balances as uncollectible and authorizing the town manager to write off the account balances as detailed in the attached report. FY 05 to FY 14 for a total of $12,233.35. I'll take a motion, please.
Move approval.
Second.
So, I have resisted writing off delinquent tax balances, but we get to a point where we've sent letters, we've called people, we've cleaned it up quite a bit when you see that between FY5 and FY13, we're talking about under $2,000 that's being written off. The FY14 is primarily NextLinks, makes up the bulk of the FY14. So the only step that would be available to the town would be to go to small claims court. When I do the research of the files, I don't believe that that is a wise use of town resources. I don't think we would get a positive outcome at the end of the day. So my suggestion, and Cindy and I talked briefly about this today, my suggestion is we write off the past years that we know for sure, and then we give this back for 15, 16, 17, and 18, which is only 4 years, to continue working on that, and knowing that starting with this year, I've seen the personal property files. We should be in good shape to be able to do UCC filings or go to court.
Questions or comments? I remember one of these companies coming up in front of us before, and I think it's long gone. It's the AVG acquisition.
Both AVG and Automatic Vending Game, which was its predecessor, and have been here for multiple times. The others, we've made effort, and I just to me, I know we can't get any of Next Links of Maine. They're gone, and there is no way to get anything from them at this point. And when I start looking at what it would cost to collect $3,000 or $4,000 total as we go through, that just we would spend that to collect it, and I'm not sure that we would get it.
All right. If there's no other questions or comments, I'll take a vote on Order 19-120. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Moving on to public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Yeah, I've been debating, but I can't resist. And believe me, my public comments are only about a quarter of what I really have. One that just came up is regarding small claims court and the cost. The cost is very small, isn't it? As I understand, small claims court, but may not be collectible, but you have to take it further. Am I right on this? It used to be $25 to go to small claims court.
So what I have learned is in order for a town to walk into small claims court and walk out victorious, there's a bunch of behind the scenes stuff that has to happen in terms of certifying commitment, getting legal opinion to take with you that it was a valid assessment. So it's not as simple as, Stuart, you owe me $20, pay me. I have to, I would need some help to do it, and that would cost.
Well, they changed it since I was active anyway. One other thing on these uncollectible, I was wondering, once they're past due, what about listing these people in the, whatever your quarterly paper? Might not be the best ethical thing to do, but they are listed at the year end. Why not, as of September, whenever it is, the deadline, the next, what the reporter is it called or whatever, if those names weren't listed, might give an incentive, might get some nasty letters too, I don't know, but if someone isn't going to pay, they're cheating us, the taxpayer.
Yes.
And I say that 5 years from now, you'll probably, the way taxes are going, may find my name in that list. I'm very much worried. The main thing I thought of maybe expressing tonight, and I thought of saying it at one of your workshops, years ago when the town first started reserve accounts, I said, that's a good idea. You put that money aside. The problem is when someone wants to buy a new fire truck, new police car, new dump, whatever, they don't have to justify it. They say, we've got the money set aside and we need it. And my argument was, as I say, I thought it was a good idea to put the money aside, but there's no push to justify before the council whatever piece of equipment they want to buy. Now I see almost everything's in reserve, and now, as I see tonight, maybe that reserve wasn't spent, so it's being transferred to another department or another whatever. So the guy over here is getting some money that he didn't have to justify for. So my feeling is by having a reserve set up, it eliminates maybe some of the sweat to get something through. I don't know. But you guys have your, I've lived here a long time, and the new way the council works with committees is completely different than what it was years ago, where everybody had to do it right here in front of the council, and your meetings lasted till 11:30, whatever, and maybe they would be meeting, I can't remember, I don't know if it was once a month or maybe twice, but whatever. So the longer you live around here, now, it's gonna change again somewhere along the line, but if you do go to listing people that haven't paid their real estate taxes, I'll guarantee you right now, you'll probably find my name on there in 5 years. I'm very worried. For years you hear, you got to put away for your retirement years. You got to put away for your retirement years. I said, to heck with that. I'll work. Actually, I needed the money to keep going. But the last year, believe me, I'm worried. And that comes from here, because I was not smart enough and didn't have enough money to get a retirement going. So Social Security is not all it's something, it's Wednesday's my Social Security day. I remind my wife. So anyway, those are my comments. I did have one other, as speaking about my wife. She said, remember, it's better to remain a fool and be quiet instead of removing all doubt. I don't know why she said that.
Well, thank you, Stuart. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Great job on the budget.
I just forgot to tell people, I think they have mentioned it one or two officers in passing. We, town staff, non-emergency response town staff are going to utilize accrued time on July 5th. So the 4th is a holiday,